swim.
Bloody hell!
Hello and welcome back. I'm Thomas. So we're starting with the Esprit's interior. This has got various places which you need to drill. This kit shares a lot of parts with the road car version, so some bits will be in that, some bits won't. Now, whilst I've painted the carpet in matte red, I'm leaving most of the interior in the moulded dark grey. That's because you won't see most of it once the window louvers are in, and I wanted to make this kit go together quite easily. My son Greg helped with some of the interior parts. When we were putting the pedals in, they actually pinged out the tweezers and disappeared into a parallel dimension, so you won't see those anymore, I'm afraid. Here I'm just using a Posca paint pen to add some little details to the switches. There's various little screens and monitors and things like that which need to be put onto the dashboard. Handbrake goes to the right of the driver's seat. Fitment of this kit is very good. Steering wheel has been painted in black, one of the few parts that I chose to paint for the interior. The Esprit kit comes only right-hand drive, but you could probably convert it to left-hand drive with a little bit of modification. Bit of putty here and there. Again, I'm taking a bit of a shortcut with these vents, masking them off but then using black Sharpie. Whilst I haven't painted the interior, I am using a bit of black paneline accent from Tamiya just to add a little bit of definition to these seats. The decal sheet, I believe, is the same as the standard Esprit, so you've got instrument clusters for both the road and underwater version of the car. Painted the inside of this dashboard section black and then added the decal. And there is the interior pretty much finished. You can see some of the additional details I added, but I don't think it looks too bad considering I left it in the bare plastic. Now it's time for the external parts. You've got two options with the headlights, either lights up or lights down. It was always lights down in the submarine sections, so here I'm adding these before painting it white. Important to sand off the burrs and then give it a test fit. And then using a little bit of Tamiya thin just to glue those into place. I painted it using Tamiya fine white primer and then TS26 pure white. Then there's a few places to drill out to add some of the submarine parts. Just sanding away any excess using a fine sanding stick. Once painted, I then chose to mask off sections to add the black rubber trim and the window rubbers. Here I'm using some Tamiya masking tape, pushing that into place all around the outside of the window, then using a cotton bud to really get those edges nice and clear. And this is a brand new craft blade which I'm using to cut out the template. Then a good idea to push this back into place to make sure it's stuck down really firmly, and then I'm using some Revell Aqua matte black paint for the window rubbers. It's important not to put the paint on too heavily, as that could easily bleed under the tape. The paint has bled under the tape in a couple of places, so I'm going to try and clean that up. There's then a few different decals. There was no Lotus badge on the nose of the car in the film, instead it had the Esprit name again. And the Esprit name appeared behind the fuel filler caps on both sides of the car as well. The car then has a long Lotus name on the kind of boot lid, although this really is the engine cover, with this being a mid-engine car. And then Lotus added a little decal to show off how many times the F1 team had won the World Car Constructors' Championship. We then move on to the chrome sprue. I think it's a really great feature when you've got these little chrome inserts for the headlights and taillights. It really adds to the reflections when you put the lenses on the front. Here I'm just using a little bit of super glue to fit it into the sort of black rubber trim section. This goes into the back of the car, like so. There's also a small little rubber trim that goes around the outside of this, which I've been careful to paint. Looks messy on the inside, but you won't see any of those details. And then you've got the number plate which goes in the centre. You can leave that out if you want to put the kind of smoke gun things instead. And then you've got some more little chrome inserts that go on the rubber bumper section for the front. Indicators will go over these. I painted these with some Tamiya clear orange and red paints. The fit is quite tight, so you want to get that as carefully as possible. But these are very well moulded. This is a well-designed kit from Fujimi. There you are. And again, you've got the front plate that goes here. Many of these parts have been moulded in the correct colour, so some of these you could leave them completely unpainted if you wanted to. This front section here is to allow the interior to fit into place. Here I've painted the inside of the roof in a sort of matte grey, and then you've got the window louvers on the front and the back. They are added like so, and I've also done the rear view mirror. The side windows are then added from the inside as well. There's no need to add any masking and window trim to these, as that's all on the bodywork. Just using some foam safe super glue to fit that into place. Now it's time for the propellers and rudder at the back. These parts are already in black plastic, so you could leave them unpainted. I added some satin black paint, however. Quite difficult to get these all straight, however that does mean that you could angle them slightly if you wanted to make it look like it was turning a particular way. The fitment of these parts is very good, and you don't even necessarily need any glue. The propellers were moulded in gold, however I did give them a gold metallic spray paint to make them look a little bit more like they were real metal. The fitment of all of these parts is really, really good. Small amount of painting needs to be done on these fins here, which were done in semi-gloss black. Then I'm using a little bit more super glue to fit these together. Say that the conversion between road car and submarine in the film is a little bit unrealistic. There's absolutely no way that these parts would fit hidden into the back of a Lotus Esprit. However, Bond films always require a little bit of a suspension of disbelief. Again, very well made parts, no issues whatsoever when putting these together. And then this glues just underneath the rear lights. These fins were all done in white, and then you've got a black decal that goes around the outside for the stripe. These, the positions for the stripes are moulded, so you could paint this if you want to. Don't glue these fins into place so they can be adjusted. Incidentally, this is the first car kit I've ever built which doesn't actually have any wheels. It's quite easy to get these slot parts mixed up, so give them a test fit before gluing to make sure that you've got them in the right place. I think you could have added these earlier before painting, but this is the time that the instructions recommend to attach them. Then the underside here slots into the interior. I've chosen not to paint the underside, it's already moulded in white and you won't see it anyway. I've also got the rear louvers and the window to separate the engine bay and the interior. And that all slots into place like so, with a little click. Good idea to add some Tamiya extra thin around the edge at this point, just to make it nice and secure. And then the window louvers on the sides slot in to place very nicely. This also hides most of the window trim and pretty much all of the interior. There's most of the car done. Now there's just some small external parts, such as this little mirror which goes onto the roof. Not quite sure what this does. Then got this periscope. This is an optional part, so you could leave it off should you want to. Pipe that goes onto the driver's door. And a little wing mirror. Only got a driver's side wing mirror on this car. And there it is, it's finished. Let me know what you think. Now for the BOAB score. For value, I've seen this sold for about £40. The tooling is less than 10 years, but that's quite expensive. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. For assembly, it all goes together very well, and you can see how this has been tooled for both the road and the submarine. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. Accuracy is very high. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5. Quality is very good. It's clearly a well-designed kit. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. And legacy is high, this being a famous Bond car. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. Gives it a strong total of 20 out of 25. Big thanks for watching. Let me know what you think, and if you want to see some Revell Bond kits that are being released later this year, click the video shown on the screen now. Remember to subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay notified for future builds. I'll see you soon.